Hey guys, welcome to Content is Profit. I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever felt that you have no idea how to go execute on an idea or launch a product that you just had, and then you go into like the YouTube rabbit hole and you see all these influencers telling you exactly kind of what to do, and then you're like, holy crap, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm not going to do it. Even though you know that in your heart, that product is a solution that a lot of, people need and want, right? And it's frustrating because I feel like we've all been there. Well, today's conversation, we bring this incredible woman, Julie Bennett, and we met her in our Do the Thing challenge inside of the Content is Profit group, and she's part of the Business Creator Club. And I got to talk with her last week, and she found a solution to like a very crazy problem. And I'll let her kind of explain the story in the show, which you're going to listen, how she came with the idea of it. And she's developing a product from scratch, and she's tapping into these incredible networks in places that you might not know or even think about when we do online business like this. So we go over different frameworks on how she's reaching out to 25,000 customers for her program, which is incredible, and how she was able to tap into these very niche networks and her playbook to go ahead and sell her product. So there's a ton of lessons. The product it's amazing. She's building it at the moment, and she was like very kind to be very transparent about the whole process. And then we distill it down into a little process that you can go execute today. And she has an incredible experience. She's tried multiple business. She comes from corporate. She has incredible experience. And now she works also with her sister doing what she loves for her kids. So with that said, welcome to Content is Profit. Enjoy the episode. Julie Bennett, we met because of a mutual connection, and you supported probably one of the most scariest things that we've ever done online, which was the 17-day challenge in our Facebook group. So for that, I do thank you so, so much. But also we connected with you, and, people already kind of know what you've been doing. And you also have a pretty awesome, interesting story about creating for your business and the things that you're building. So why don't you let us know a little bit of that thing that you're building?
Yeah, Luis, it's so great to be here. I'm so happy that I got to participate in your challenge, and I'm on my way to host that challenge in my group and my audience as well, which I'm so excited about. I'm extremely pumped. And the thing that I'm working on in my business is to build generational financial literacy, something I'm super passionate about. I believe it's so impactful to give teens and young adults the tools to make really great decisions about their personal finance, and give them the freedom to create something in their lives. And what I've been doing is creating a game of credit with my business partner, who happens to be my sister. So you work with your brother. We are a sister act. And we've been creating a game of credit, and everything has been focused on this game of credit. And the reason we got there, is it okay if I tell a short story?
100%. Yes, please.
So a couple of years ago, I was standing in a movie theater with my son, my oldest son, who was about 8 years old at the time. So he's a little boy, and it was a birthday party. And the parents had rented out the entire movie theater, and we were there to watch Super Mario Brothers. It was really fun, and everybody's getting a bag of popcorn and a drink. We're waiting in line.
My dream party right there. I love the movies. I will go by myself all the time. So I'll be like, invite me to all these parties, please.
I got you. Yeah. The birthday party, it's like the best, right? Because you feel like such a VIP. So we're already having this amazing VIP experience as the only people in this theater. It's all of his classmates. We're waiting in line. He's to get his soda and his popcorn. And the birthday boy's brother is in line in front of us, and he whips out his parents' credit card and he starts charging up all this candy. And my son is watching, and he's like, Mamo, I want candy. Can I have some candy? I was like, hey, this is a really great experience. It's been so generous. No, we're not buying candy right now. That's not a priority right now. And he goes, Mom, just put it on your credit card. What? I was like, back it up. Put it on your credit card. And I realized in that moment, I have so much work to do to educate my children about money and how credit works. And my sister had a very similar experience around that time. Between the two of us, we have 6 kids under the age of 10. And we realize we have a lot of work to do. We need to educate them. We need to model and create experiences for them so they can understand how money works. And it started this journey that led us to ultimately the project we're working on right now, which is creating a game of credit.
Oh man. By the way, I'm going to be like, where's the wait list? By the way, all the links right below, but like, is there a way that we can sign up for the wait list right now as we're recording? Probably for the people that are listening in the future, this is going to be already live, but we're a big family of like games. Like Katie, my wife, loves to play games. And I think that this is great because like, I just picture myself in like your shoes and I'm like, yeah, that's probably going to happen to me. And like, I'm going to be the guy that's like freaking out because I have no idea. Right. Like, I think we mentioned it on our previous calls. Like growing up, I never really had a money conversation with like my parents, right? They both had jobs, my mom played, in the education system and, they had their salaries and then that's it. Basically, it's like, okay, if you want money, just go work. And I think Venezuela is a little bit different when it comes to like money, right? Mm-hmm. Or how it's treated. Like I've never, I think like the biggest purchase that they did was like a car, but it's all cash, right? Like you pay for the whole thing. I don't think my family ever used credit. So that was like completely foreign when I came here in 2010. And I was like, a pretty crazy experience where I dug myself into a hole. It was really hard to get out. And then I had I tripped into a second hole and it's like, what the hell? And it's like, now that I have 2 kids, I'm like, whoa, I am definitely not prepared. So thank you for bringing that solution into market and help us parents, figure this out. I think
Louis, you're not alone in your experience. And I've heard actually, I think, especially if you've emigrated here from another country, credit is different in every country and how people use it. And so it's really like, it's really essential skill to build. And, I learned a lot of things from my dad, who was an accountant in Idaho. And he talked to us, I think, more than most people's parents about money. And there was still a lot of gaps. There was still a lot of things where I had to figure out on my own, learn things the hard way, put things on my credit card. And like you said, I was like digging myself out. I put this trip to Europe with my sister right after she graduated from college. I was like, hey, let's go. Like talk is cheap. And
credit card, yeah.
I put it on my credit card and that was, I learned some lessons about how long that takes to pay off and you make those decisions. And we can teach them sooner. And it also, I know you have little kids, right? But
Lucas 6 and Mateus 3. So
yeah. So they are watching and learning from you so much sooner than you realize.
100%. I wanna kind of 10,000 foot view too. Obviously, you saw this problem that it was like very personal to you too. But you probably saw in other parents too that were in like that line, and then you're like, wow, like this is common. Your sister validated that idea. And then you're like, look, we want to bring a solution to market, right? And a lot of obviously entrepreneurs and people that are listening to the show are in a similar position where like in whatever area that they're, zone of genius, they might be working in a company and they see this problem in their private life, they see this problem. And now they want to put it out there and they want to put a product that actually solves the problem and kind of market that product and put our message out there, right? We see a lot of those people coming to the city. Just this morning, we had these like 2 incredible ladies and they just want to show that, they can bicker each other by complete opposite personalities, best friends. And each of them has like the product and like the content is the thing that unites. Now, so we're going to try to thread the needle, right? Between like, the messaging. You had a great story that hooks parents. Everybody's like, yes, that's me, right? On the messaging side. And then on the creation side, you're about to do a challenge with your own community to kind of move this. Can you walk us through like the process that you're planning right now? Because obviously we talk about content as a hypothesis, right? Like we put something out there and we think it's going to do something, but it does something else. And then we reiterate on that product. Can you walk us through your process on, the launch and the community that you guys have and then potential goals, right? Like where's this going to go?
Absolutely. So where we started after we had that conversation with my son and my daughter's or my sister's daughter, we realized that one of the tools and the ways that we love to teach this concept is entrepreneurship. As like an entrepreneur, there's collaboration and problem solving and creativity. And it's this intersection of all these things. And so the way we started was solving this problem around teaching our children financial literacy and sharing this was we created an after school enrichment program. And so we did 3 sessions. We did 3 classes after school in person with kids in Seattle, upper elementary school students. And we came in. And so we experimented a lot. So a lot of it was like figuring out what's going to resonate. We love this idea of learning through action, right? Doing something, right? I was like, I love to read books and I love to take courses and I'm always a student. And sometimes those things keep you from actually getting into action. And it's doing that stuff that really like it makes you progress, right? You're like, did this work? How do we get feedback? How do we move faster? And so we had about 30 students go through our after school enrichment program. We created amazing games. And it was really interesting because that was really focused on entrepreneurship and teaching you earn, you save, and you invest, right? That's like kind of the virtuous cycle of personal finance. And we wanted to create like a lot of focus on earning because as a kid, before you can learn to save and invest, like you need a little skin in the game, right? You need to like make your first dollar. So we focused a lot on that at first. Yeah. And then we kept hearing from parents through feedback when we would talk about financial literacy and like how they're learning about money through this concept. That was where people would start to lean in. And then we realized that there was like this multi-generational part. So we asked parents, like, what's keeping you from teaching this to your kids? What's keeping you from teaching your children about, and your young adults, your teens about money? And a lot of it was that they didn't feel confident in their own skills. Some of these people were like very high achieving professionals that have a lot of professional accolades. Even a CFO of a company. And she's like, I don't know how to teach this stuff to my kids. And so we realized there was this gap. And so it's like, okay, like gap identified. And then credit kept coming up, right? And it's like, okay, well, so we decided instead of teaching the entrepreneurship to these kids, we weren't finding like people really enjoyed it, but it wasn't creating urgency in the decision, right? So if you have a kid that's going to college or graduating from high school and they're about to become an adult, whether or not they have a fully like functioning prefrontal cortex or not, they are going to be capable of applying for credit and using credit and going into debt, right? And so you like as parents, we just realized like there's urgency. When we talked about this idea of credit, people leaned in. They're listening. They're like, how do I teach my kids this? There's urgency. They need it now. They need it last year. I wish I'd had this. They kept over and over. We kept hearing, I wish I had known this. I wish somebody had told me this. I wish somebody had told me this, right? Like my dad, like he knew, right? I was like, hey, you knew some of this stuff. Like, why didn't you fill me in on all these details? Like you told me to pay my bills on time. Cool. There was more to it than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then in terms of like the business, like the direction and strategy, we have a really big goal to reach 25,000 young adults and teens by 2027. And so we're at the beginning. In the context of who, not how, if you've read that book by Dr. Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan, we got connected through some other programs that we're with to a who that's a credit expert. And she has this amazing tool that helps people have very specific instructions and like directions and what to do to repair their credit score in order to reach a specific goal they have, whether it's to get an apartment or buy a car, maybe to buy a house. And she's like, hey, I keep getting on this conversation we had with her. She said, I always get asked to speak at universities or in schools, but I'm missing the fun factor. And it's like, well, we've been creating these programs for kids to inject the fun, right? To bring the fun, to give the activity so that they can have their own aha moments. They have the experience and they realize like, it's their idea, right? It's like you learn something when you go through something and you have an experience, like kind of like that challenge we did, right? We go through the experience. Yeah. Now we understand it. Now we're like, oh, I get it now, right? So that's kind of how this came to be. And so our focus has shifted, our strategy has shifted from this broader financial literacy to creating a lot more content specifically about this credit game and really saying, okay, this is the thing that cuts through the noise and is the signal to people. So that creates urgency. How do we create something also that gives us leverage in our business? Because I want, like, it was really fun doing an after school program, but I'm only one person. Also me and like, 10-year-olds, it's a lot. So it's like, how do I leverage my time? How do we create something that can have a lot of impact, but we can sell over and over again?
Yeah. I love it. I was like taking some notes here and I was like distilling kind of like the path, right? That you were sharing with the story. It's like, okay, you had this idea, you go out and test it. All right. How can we test it? And in your case, you did these like live workshops with people, right? And I think that's super interesting because especially in our world that everything is online and now it's like easier than ever because you have a camera and a microphone, you can talk to people through the camera, right? Maybe a live event sounds like super far-fetched, but it's also a very valuable thing, right? Like there's already organizations out there that might have your ideal customer, right? Or they might have your ideal prospect or the ideal person that you can help. And you can just ask for a little bit of time and see if it's a value of them. So which you did with these kids, right? Then immediately you get feedback. Is it working? Not working, right?
Kids like, tell you. If they're not having fun, I mean, they're like, I'm bored. What are we doing next? Like they're super honest. They get right to the chase.
Absolutely. And from there too, like as you're getting that feedback, you're finding the gap, right? Like I related a lot to like our specific story with like the studio. We thought it was going to be one thing where like we purchased this studio. People are already kind of working on their content through podcasting. And then we're like, oh, we have the perfect product to, move them into like their publishing journey, which was content momentum, how we create all the clips and all the assets, higher volume. The gap was massive. They're like, I have no idea, what a short form content is, right? I don't even know what podcasting, can do for me. I'm creating one because people are telling me to do it. And we're like, wow, we realized very quickly that gap was there. So do you. So the gap for you in your case is credit, the knowledge around credit, all this stuff, like that very specific thing that you guys picked. And then, which is your biggest pain point, right? And then you mentioned something really interesting, which was you started meeting these other people in other networks or programs that they might be already delivering at a wider, aspect, but then you're the specialist that comes in and helps them with like that specific topic, which in your case, like I said, is credit. So it's funny because we put this content out there and we think about like this echo chamber of like, hey, we're going to put our message on these social media channels and everybody's going to listen and they're going to respect and they're going to follow and they're going to buy my thing. But it doesn't happen, right? But where are those pockets of people that we can start a little bit more targeted, having conversations with them, be like, hey, how can I help you? Online, we hear a lot about Facebook groups and communities and all this stuff that we can, support. But we often take for granted in-person event, which as you're telling me this story, I'm like, you're like an expert of like showing up to like these physical events. Did it come natural to you, or like how do you approach this in-person conversation? I feel like a lot of people are very intimidated to go tap into those actual real like world, networks.
It's been one conversation at a time. And so in a really big group of people, it can feel a little intimidating. I love to have a conversation one-on-one. And it was a little disarming to go into a room full of children, like young people, because we were there to like make it a fun experience, right? There's an after school enrichment program. It was like entrepreneurship camp. And a little over a year ago, we actually did a challenge, an online challenge, and we created what we turned into a mini course on like entrepreneurship for kids. And we ended up having about 50 people join, and it was really fun and engaged. Like we created amazing content. We took like all of our experience from corporate and our, MBA programs and like from sales and marketing and like all the supplier management, people management, all the things that we've done to collectively, my sister and I, and boiled it down to 5-minute videos. So we spent a lot of time consolidating, and we were missing elements. We were missing that feedback loop, that live feedback loop. And so even though we created something that can really kickstart this energy and get somebody like experimenting and trying, we realized like that live component really, really helps. And sometimes I go in and I created all kinds of games. Like, hey, actually, here's a good example. We made a game around water. So we have a little liquid death here. Yeah. We made a game around we talked about branding. Like, so these are ideas, like this is the entrepreneurship side of things, right? So like with the upper elementary school students, we weren't really breaching into credit yet, but we talked about like, how do you value water? And so we brought out like 5 different bottles of water and actually had all the prices, and we played the prices right. And so you can make a game out of anything. Like, and so that's kind of like our secret is like, hey, how do you just make this fun? Let's like make it a game. And we'd pretty quickly like determine if this game was working or not. And so, you know, depending on how much time they'd want to spend on it or an activity, and we'd always have a backup game because sometimes we're like, that one flopped. And so by doing it in person, we were able to get really immediate feedback. And so we were able, like, we developed dozens and dozens of games, which now like we can kind of put into like a library of like things that people can use to teach their kids about money and teach their kids about entrepreneurship and get them activated and energized around creating something and finding opportunities and creating opportunities.
Yeah.
So that's, so for us, like walking into that room, sometimes it was really intimidating. We did one class. My sister wasn't there. She just had a baby. And it was Halloween. And I will never, ever again, like teach a class on Halloween. And the kids were just like, they were amped. Oh my Lord. There was a kid, he was like breakdancing on the floor. I was like, okay, like sometimes you kind of roll with it. You're like, okay, like let's try something else. Right. So sometimes we tell a story, sometimes like, and then we would go into the activity and we try the activity and see how engaged they were, how interested. Yeah. Did they get the idea? Like we always had like, this is the big idea from this particular activity. And do they walk away with that big idea?
I love it. I think that has to be, I'm so fascinated because you're like, I don't have like an actual, like it's not a finished product. Let's go execute and do it. Right. I have the general idea and then there's going to be a second product. I was listening to how I built the podcast and they were talking about Whoop, right? Like this like little band that I have here and like the story of the guy. I don't know if you know what Whoop is, but it's like this.
I haven't heard that one, but I love that podcast.
It's incredible. It's like it tracks your sleep and gives you a bunch of metrics. It's like you're recovering, not recovering. Like, anyways, I'm an advocate for the thing, but what they were saying is like, like the first prototypes, like people would laugh at us, right? And then they'll be like getting feedback and then really and do it again and do it again and do it again. And there's like this notion on online products or online programs and obviously content that has to be perfect when it comes out. Well, maybe our bar is up here and we release it, here, but for the people from the outside, for them, there's going to be good. And also depends on the context or like the thing. And, this session, I have it so fresh with these two ladies and they were asking me, how was it? Like the interaction, right? How was the podcast? Did it flow? And I'm like, to be completely honest, I wasn't even listening. Like I knew that you guys were recording. I'm like working in the office as you guys do this thing, but I could hear the dynamic and like, how do you guys feel? Do you guys feel like you had a good conversation? You guys had a good time? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, perfect. Do you guys feel okay? Like if this goes out tomorrow and people see it and they're like, yeah. And it's like, sometimes like we're so in our heads because, we think we need to like show up. But the second, like you lean in and they're like, they said at the beginning of the episode, they're like, hey guys, like this is the first time that we're recording this thing. It's going to suck. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be amazing, but we don't know. Right. And you kind of like lean into that. It's going to be so awesome. And especially also when you're launching products, right? You can tell the people like, guys, this is the first version of it. I appreciate you, like you being one of those like founding people. And this is what we're going to do. This is the goal, right? And I'm
progress over perfection.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So
yeah, our game, like it's not done. Like it is like part of like, it's done enough. It's ready to help people and make an impact. So like teens and young adults can learn about this. And like this is my prototype. Like it's a printed version, right? It's a work in progress. And by giving feedback and getting people in a room and talking about it and getting them to interact and we can make sure that the thing that we actually deliver to them is that much better. And so that's been a huge hurdle, is overcoming that desire to be perfect and realizing that getting that feedback of having it evolve and moving forward is so much better.
Yeah. Well, Julia, I'm super excited. I'm proud because you guys are going to help a ton of people. I'm sure you guys already are with the product. I want to shift gears a little bit on you've been a part of like some incredible, communities, and obviously you've executed, along the best, like some of the best challenges that I've been a part of. Right. And so I would love to kind of talk a little bit of some of the frameworks or maybe playbooks that you've seen out there to to monetize from the content itself. And I know that you're going to do something really cool with your group and your community soon, and kind of like why you got to that decision, and be like, why is that the playbook that you're going to go execute?
Yeah. So one of the playbooks I'm using is the same one you are, which is leveraging the framework, the do the thing framework. And that is like this challenge framework that's really playful. And I love it. Really aligns with Lemonade Standards and what we're doing, because it's really playful. It's an experience. You show up, you take action. And those are the things that we're teaching like inside of our, of our courses, and our content is like progress over perfection. It's okay to make mistakes. Like failure is okay, so long as you learn from, those lessons. So that's been an amazing framework. My background is in corporate and aviation. And so one of the things I'm doing is figuring out how do I leverage that experience and apply it in that context of the do the thing framework and bring more people in. So it's like that, work with somebody that has a larger audience and have the one to many, right? So like instead of me doing direct outreach, she's doing outreach to companies, and they're sending out the internal invitations to invite.
So for those that are not familiar with the do the thing challenge, or framework, how would you describe it really quickly?
So it's a challenge. So it's a daily dare based challenge that gets people into action by like having them show up, and they're writing or they're recording video, but they're showing up and they're doing they're creating a habit, and they're building muscle towards a common goal, which is kind of determined by any particular group. And so we're going to be like using that framework inside of our school group to teach, to help people like talk to their kids about money and talk to their kids about credit. And but I've been practicing using this framework, and leveraging like other people's audiences, that kind of strategy to like, how do we pull them in, and then, bring more people into the fold.
Yeah. So how do you, so you go to these communities, and then you basically tell them, hey, this is what we're going to be doing, and then come join us here. And then you go execute the 17-day challenge, correct?
Yeah. In the case I've created a collaboration with somebody that had an existing audience, and she had she's in an in-person she has a live virtual event, and that will be in September, but she wanted to create some way to engage her audience. And we've been talking for a long time. So I showed up, just kind of offering help and listening from a place of service. And then it's like, I've got this thing I'm working on. I'm going to deploy this in my business, but I'm not quite ready to do it. Do you want to what do you think about doing this in your group? And so it's going to be something that's, I think it's been a really amazing experience. We've got over 60 women professionals signed up already. So cool. A lot of them come from the same company. So it's really interesting. It's going to be a totally different dynamic than on Content as Profit or inside Do the Thing, because it will be in the context of, women professionals, a lot of them in aviation and defense. Yeah. But so that's been one strategy I'm deploying. Another one is I have been going really deep on Dr. Benjamin Hardy's frameworks. And I know we talked about who, not how a little bit, and 10x is easier and 2x is one a lot of people are familiar with. He has a brand new book called The Science of Scaling. And I was part of his program last fall called Rapid Transformation. And the whole idea is it's around frame, floor, and focus. And so it's kind of doing more by doing less. And that's a lot of the reason behind our strategy to say, we are going to focus on this game of credit. And try and do just one thing and do it really well. And then create all the content, create all the strategy, the outreach based on this. And as someone that likes to dabble in a lot of things, and it can be difficult to kind of extract myself from, say no to other opportunities. And I think creates confusion about what is it you do? Right. Yeah. If you're doing a lot of things. So now it's this is what we do. And so that message becomes really clear. And raising the floor to say no to a lot of things, and really getting hyper focused on our impossible goal, which of reaching 25,000 students by 2027.
I think it's a very very possible goal. And it's very exciting and very encouraging, like, to put something out there to the world. And we recently had Ina in our office hours on Thursdays in the club. And she was also debating. She's like in the auto industry, and she's helping.
Oh, I listened to that episode.
Yeah, she was awesome. And, one of the days she comes in and be like, I have this other project that I want to do. Right. And, again, no expert. We're like in growth mode. We're learning a ton, like on our side. But if something's going to help me execute, I'm going to go try do it, because I'd rather execute than not execute at all. So in my specific case, I like also to kind of like bounce between projects. Like one is my main project and then the other one, because that learning experience is going to come back to me, and then I'm going to be able to raise the other one a little bit more. So we almost, in that call, we almost like gave her permission to be like, go do the other thing also. Like if you have the capacity and the sanity to like go execute at a high level, both of them, why not for a little bit, right? And try that out and see how it goes. Eventually, yes, one is going to have to drop. But I think like there's power in that, right? It's like, so, what are some things? Obviously, you share some examples of like the business or the opportunities, or like, where do I speak? But also content wise, like what type of content do I want to create? Do I want to create a podcast or a YouTube channel? Why don't you try both at the same time for a little bit and see what sticks, right? And then go with another one and so on. And we continue to test and kind of, pull and push at the same time.
Yeah. So for me, there's things I had to like let go of and the last year in order to say yes to this. And so I think that framework has helped me check in with myself a lot more. Say, okay, like, is this like 100% I'm in, or like, or after I've said yes and I'm doing something, I'm like, oh, this was below my floor because I feel like it's not aligned with a thing that I'm really working on. And sometimes I still like to explore. So I think, there are some detours. 100% I take detours. Having an experience, I fully believe like things connect, and like you kind of connect them backwards. And so some of the things that I'm doing, in this women's professional group doesn't align exactly with the content I'm going to create around the credit game. And it's giving me experience. So I have the confidence to move forward and, do the outreach, to be on the podcast, to, take the speaking engagement, or make the phone call. So those things connect backwards. And so, but it's just like, sometimes I'll be like, oh, this was really a no. Like this is below my floor. I need to cut this out. And one of those examples for me was before I was dedicated to lemonade standers, I was a real estate agent for a couple of years. And it just became clear that wasn't like the path forward. Like that wasn't the goal. And all of the effort and the cost of like maintaining that path and keeping that path open was like costing opportunities, because it was muddying my message. I was creating content for real estate. I was talking to people about this. Like, what do you do? What are you about? And like, I see you doing all these things. And sometimes I still do that. So it's like trying to just like listen to the signal and then, really focus. So the content can come, right? So now it's like, okay, I've got tons and tons of content and I have all these things that I dabbled in, and some of them failed, and that's okay. Yeah. I learned from them. Yeah. And now like I can do the thing and record. Yeah. No, record.
I love it, because like you find your own path, before, for those wondering, in our specific case, like how do we execute do the thing? Like our network was not an outside network. We had a group with 300 people in Facebook that we told them, hey, we're going to do this 17-day challenge. We're going to encourage people to publish. I'm going to be doing it with you. First time, leaning fully into the thing. And we did it together. We had about 30 people be a part of it, which was really awesome. Shout out to the Do the Thing Content is Profit version. And then the cool part was like after those 17 days, we were able to kind of discover and connect with a lot of people and kind of launch what became the Business Creator Club. Right. And that's awesome. So I think that's like a really cool path and playbook for a lot of people to follow. Maybe you already have a very established product and you want to drive engagement and traffic into that. You want to maybe reactivate a group or a community that you've been a part of and is not active yet. Maybe you want to go and do these collaborations with other people, like Julie's doing, for example. But at the same time, it's like the encouragement to try these new things. Just before we hopped on this, I was on a call in like almost like a group session. And the guy that was speaking was the guy that started Comic-Con. And he was sharing his experience when he was starting Comic-Con. And he's like, dude, like I had to like do all the things, and we tried many different things. And, I had a every room I walk into right now, I have the biggest fail rate because he tried just different things. Like you said, maybe I fail at this, but that's fine because that's going to be a little push that is going to send you on the right path, right? Like we have to do it. And then Gary Vee, I saw a clip once. It's like, how do you know what's your dream job or like what the thing that you want to do? I was like, just go try a bunch of stuff. Dude, like, go get a job. You don't like it? Quit, go to a different one, right? Like try things.
You try. It takes a while too to figure out if you're good at something or if you like it. And, some of our concept is, hey, what if you try that younger? Like when I was a kid, I was the Beanie Baby queen. And I sold like a Beanie Baby online in 1994, give or take a year, for $200.
That was massive.
Right? $200. And so like, what if like, I tried that, and I guess like all these years later, I've come back to like, oh my gosh, that was the thing. And what if I had kept going and experimenting and trying more and playing with the idea? And so if you can introduce your young people, your kids, your youth, or try things, dabble, like fail fast and move on. Like it's like I've done a lot of things that are on the fail, the shelf that are like, okay, that didn't work. That's okay. Or I didn't produce enough content. The stuff I had was amazing. And now we're trying something else. And
no, that's cool. I want to like, kind of close the loop with, the creation and the business side, right? Where we're trying all these things, right? And it's like, okay, we're high level, obviously, as an entrepreneur, as a person, we're trying these things, but it works the same with your type of content. We've told people like maybe podcasting is not your type of content, right? Maybe you don't like to be on camera for long periods of time. Maybe you like writing, right? And maybe blogging is your thing, or you like more of an experience stuff. Maybe you like more condensed, so short form might be the best way, right? So, but you're not going to know until you really try these out, right? And you'll see advice online there's like short form is the best thing or YouTube is the best thing, and like they're all the best thing, they all work. We just need to be consistent and frequent. They all work, so we got to find our own path. So I highly encourage everybody that's listening, try their own path. And Julie, like in your case, like thank you so much for sharing your story, because like not only your product is helping a ton of people, and like your game is going to help a ton of people, and what you're doing with the kids, I'm raising my hand. I'm like, yes, please, like get me in the challenge. I need to learn, but also through the journey of like, going from corporate to following the path and your journey of like creating something really cool and unique. And then showing us a playbook of like how you're reaching out to like these organizations and like tapping into other audiences to kind of bring people in. We don't necessarily have to have a massive social media following. Like we just need to tap on the right networks, the right connections, and kind of be like, hey, is what I'm offering of value to you and your people? Awesome. Let's collaborate. And that opens a ton of doors.
I think collaboration as a strategy has been so eye-opening for me in our business, because first of all, like when I was in corporate, like I loved working on teams. It was so fun. I got so energized by working with other people and figuring out what they were good at and like, how can we work together? And you get these synergies and problem solving and creating things, putting things together that didn't necessarily go together and making something new. And it took like some iterations before I realized like, oh my gosh, I can do that with other businesses. Like it's like, this is like a remix, right? We can like do this mashup and suddenly we have something brand new. And it's amazing. And like we expose each other to different audiences. You get the different ideas and the energy. And so it's such a great strategy, and it's really fulfilling. And then when I also realized, my friends, this is all a game, right? Like this is a game. Like, I don't know, like you're an athlete. Like we are playing a game. I don't know about you. Like I used to play soccer too. Like I love to win. And so it's like, and when you realize you're playing a game, like, hey, let's get the best team we can. Like handpick the players you want to play with. Yeah. And let's figure out how to win this thing. Let's score some goals. And so 100%. Like, and let's figure out, like, try the things, like, right. Like you got to like maybe play a little defense, maybe play a little offense, and you have to figure out how to make it happen. And so we've been trying a lot of things, but that's been a little bit of the journey.
So cool. So cool. I think it was Ed Milet that we heard him speak, and he said, winning is more fun than fun is fun. Yeah. And it's like, he was sharing a story with his kid playing golf and all this. He's like, oh yeah, we're just going to go play for fun. And like, you see like his kid was like losing and he was like getting angry, and he's like, hey, you want me to tell you a secret? Winning is more fun than fun is fun. So the kid like leveled up and won, and he's like, you're right, Dad. And I'm like, yeah, we came out so pumped. So 100%. I think like that's part of it, right? Like at the end of the day, I was reflecting on our journey the other day, and, if you're listening and you have a business and you've been in business for a certain period of time, sometimes obviously there's a lot of ups and downs. But if you've kept that and you kept going and you pivot and you move forward, and there's a big credit to that. Like that's huge. Give yourself a pat in the back, because a lot of people, they're not made for this, and you are changing lives. You are producing stuff that's helping other people, and there's the hourglass effect. You know what Julie's going to teach these parents and these kids, they're going to continue to do it. They're going to be wealthier. They're going to, like, the world becomes a better place if we all do this thing. So if you are in that, spot where you're doubting yourselves because maybe this is not working today, keep going, man, because it's going to happen. It's ups and downs. We're all athletes. We're here to win and win together. So, Julie, so cool having a chat with you. Thank you so much for coming to Content is Profit. Is there anything else that you want to add before we head out?
No, I think that for any listeners out there, that if this resonated with you and you're, are interested in becoming part of our community, we have a free school group where Lemonade Standers on school, and we're going to be doing a challenge. We're going to be diving into this stuff, and yeah, we're doing a little messy. We're going to pre-sell our game. We're going to do challenges and like try all these things, and we're going to validate it in the market before we like place that really big first order, right, of this like product they're going to ship across the ocean. So it's like, remember that like you don't have to have everything perfect, and so if you would like to be part of this, like we'd love to have you join the community and talk to your kids about this stuff that you're learning in entrepreneurship, because it takes practice for them to learn these skills. And the earlier they start selling those Beanie Babies, or, if they're selling slime or Play-Doh or watering the neighbor's plants or picking up their mail, whatever it might be, those are experiences they can learn from, so they can learn faster or sooner what they love, and so that they can be on this journey.
100%. And we're going to leave the links right below. You got to do scroll down, click on there. I already, as you were mentioning, I applied to be part of the school community in there. And I'm going to learn just like everybody else. So if we see each other in Julie's group, say hello, please. But yeah, I go back to when the kids' birthday, they're like a day apart. And so we've been throwing like this birthday party with these inflatables. And the company that we rent the inflatables from is like run by these like 2 15-year-olds. Like they just show up. It's this kid and his friend. And they just rent these inflatables for like weekends. And they're booked out for the entire year. They're making bank. And I'm like, bro, like you guys are going to get far. This is so awesome. And it's like, I think their dad invested maybe $300 in like their first inflatable. And like they'd be just like doing this during the weekend. And it's so cool to see. And I'm like, Luca, help them out. And in my head, I'm like, yes, like this is the thing. And, maybe we live I think we're very fortunate that we live in this country that a lot of that can happen at that age. Growing up in Venezuela was like, that might have not been an option for me at that point in time. But I think it's incredible what you're doing, what you're teaching these kids to do. So thank you, Julie, for coming and sharing your lessons and your journey and like where you're going with this massive goal. So everybody in Content is Profit and Business Creator Club, let's help her out. 25,000 students by 2027. Let's go.
Let's go. Thanks so much for having me, Luis. It was great to see you again.
Absolutely. See you guys in the next episode. Bye.